Apple, plum, pear, nectarine, mulberry, and more, you get 2 for $99. And don't forget that azalea sale. Get 6 semi-dwarf ever-blooming azaleas for only $35.99. Plus very nice 3-inch cactus and other succulents start at just $4.99. Check the ad or go to bobwyantcameliagardens.net for a big long list of all the pre-memorial specials. They're open daily till 4:30, Saturdays till 3. Southeast 38th Street, Ocala, the same blooming place since 1952.
Broadway's mega hit Mamma Mia is live on stage at Ocala Civic Theater May 17th through June 17th. ABBA favorites like Dancing Queen, Super Trooper, and Mamma Mia are all part of the fun musical about what happens when you surprise your mom by inviting all 3 men who might be your dad to your wedding. On sale now. 352-236-2274 or buy online at okalacivictheater.com.
Medicare rules are confusing. They should be. There are over 130,000 pages of regulations. There's Part A through D, Medicare Advantage, and Medigap. According to the CMS, there are government programs available that can help you pay for your medical expenses. Choosing the right Medicare plan is a really big deal. The wrong choice can cost you a lot of money, and the right choice can put more money in your pocket. Call one of our licensed representatives today. At 65 Plus Medicare, our free service can show you a plan that will maximize your Medicare benefits, ensure you are taking advantage of all available government assistance programs, and save you money. Call now.
800-343-4379. 800-343-4379. 800-343-4379. That's 800-343-4379.
Total benefits listed may be available on all plans or in a single benefit package. Enrollment in the described plan type may be limited to certain times of the year unless you qualify for a special enrollment period. No obligation to enroll.
Celebrating a juicy treat that's been a staple of the American diet for decades. That's coming up on This Land of Ours.
And now another episode of One Soil to Live.
I'm sorry, Sarah. It doesn't look good.
Oh, no, Doctor. Is there any hope?
Well, yes. But you'll need to follow these 4 principles if you want to make it healthy again.
Of course. Anything.
Okay. Now, first, you must keep it covered and keep living roots in it throughout the year with diverse plants and rotations.
Yes, Doctor. Of course.
And finally, Sarah, it's important to disturb it as little as possible.
Oh, thank you, Doctor. You're a real soil saver.
No thanks necessary. Improving soil health is what I live to do.
There's an amazing amount of life in healthy soil. More importantly, that life can help make our nation's farms more productive, profitable, and resilient. Visit your local USDA Natural Resources Conservation Service office today and learn more about the basics and benefits of soil health. This message brought to you by USDA and this radio station.
Today is National Hamburger Day, and nothing says summertime like a big, juicy burger or cheeseburger, which has been a staple of the American diet for decades. Americans eat almost 50 billion burgers a year. That's the equivalent of 3 burgers a week for every person in the United States. Although hamburgers originated in Hamburg, Germany, eating a burger on a bun is actually an American tradition. The hamburger as we know it was most likely invented in Seymour, Wisconsin. Each year, the city hosts a hamburger festival called Burger Fest. That's where the world's largest hamburger made its debut in 2001, weighing in at a whopping 8,200 pounds. To celebrate National Hamburger Day, host a backyard barbecue with your family and friends and grill up some tasty burgers. Don't forget all of the trimmings, adding bacon, ketchup, lettuce, pickles, tomatoes, mayo, and so much more. I'm Kathy Isom, Southeast AgNet.
It's time to rethink what you know about clean American propane and what it can do for your operation. Want efficient, reliable power independent of the grid? Propane can do that. Power for EPA-compliant engines without all the extra fluids and filters. Propane can do that. Eliminate fuel theft, lower hourly fuel costs, reduce downtime. Propane can do all of that. Discover all the things propane can do on your farm at propanecandothat.com.
Mondays are usually hard, coming back from a weekend and trying to get the week started off on the right foot. Well, that is about to change. R.C. Jones, prophetess and pastor representing Hazon Ministry, will be joining us at 9:20 a.m. each Monday. Hazon Ministry aims to build families through love, power, prayer, and the Word of God. Again, join R.C. Jones and start the week off on a positive note every Monday at 9:20 a.m. right here on The Source, WOCA.
All right, 15 minutes before 10 o'clock. How you doing anyway? It looks like an overcast kind of a day, right?
Yeah,
overcast
it does.
kind of a day. This is the outermost bands, part of them anyway, of the storm called Roberto. Is that Roberto?
Yes, Roberto.
Is that what it's called? So we didn't get the brunt of it, but we do get the outer edges of it, and this is more of it. So it makes our Memorial Day a little bit wetter. However, not too bad. It looks like it's going to be just for a short while, and then we'll be in the clear again until the next band comes around. And if you want to squeeze in a visit over to the Marion County Veterans Memorial Park, not a bad thing to do on Memorial Day, even if the Veterans Vietnam Traveling Wall was not there. It's still a great place to go to remember the sacrifices of those who have served us in the military. But this weekend, the Vietnam Traveling Wall is at the park, and it arrived last Thursday, and it will be packing up tomorrow. So today is the last day you can go see the wall. Do you have any, I know you said it's kind of sketchy, but what kind of information do we have about the wall?
Well, the first thing about the wall is it has been open 24 hours a day, and it has been manned by Vietnam veterans, by Daughters of the American Revolution. So people have been there around the clock to answer your questions. So that was really, really wonderful. Today, beginning at 10 a.m., the Marion County Veterans Park is having a Memorial Day program. That also does include a flyover. So that should be very, very emotional. Our county does such a great job in honoring our veterans. And then this afternoon at 3 p.m., there will be a Memorial Day closing ceremony at the Vietnam Traveling Wall. The Gold Star families will be attending that ceremony. So that's happening at 3 p.m. today.
So just our connection with that, Joe Martone is the vice chairman of the Vets Helping Vets group. That's right next door to the park, and he's instrumental part of the group that made this all happen. Carol Ann Baldwin and her husband also instrumental in making it happen, actually doing some of the physical labor required to assemble and disassemble the wall.
And Jeffrey Askew and his guys at the Marion County Veterans Services, which is right there. I mean, gosh, if you have any questions about what's going on today, you can call Marion County Veterans Services at 671-8422.
Dan just texted me. What did I say? Roberto? Was this
Yes,
Alberto.
Alberto.
Sorry, Dan. Yes, so they all start. It's alphabetical. I knew that.
That's right.
We shouldn't be up to R yet. It's A.
Yeah.
So R won't be until like September or something. Right? All right, I have some sound bites that I gathered over the weekend that I wanted to share with you. This is from a website called StoryCorps. And I want to share some stories of people who have served us in different capacities. This one is a sad one, but but I don't know. It's a mixed one. This is a story about a man who was, I think he was in some kind of a park. You'll hear him tell the story himself, and. A woman who identified herself as a nurse noticed on him a button he was wearing, and the face on the button was the man's son. And the man's son had died in one of the conflicts. I don't remember if it was Iraq or Afghanistan, but he died in one of the conflicts. And the woman recognized the young man on the button. And I will not tell you anymore. I'll let the audio talk for itself. Let's see if I have this one right. I think it is this one right here. Okay, let me play this for you.
I thought it would be great to welcome these young trauma nurses with some special Hawaiian lei. And I saw this Army nurse come walking up the path. And I said, here, this is a special gift from me to you. As she put her head down so I could put the lei over her shoulder, she noticed the button that I was wearing on my chest. And she just put her finger on it. And she said, "I know him." I said, "How do you know him? He was my son." And she said, "I was a trauma nurse at the crash unit where he died." And she said, "I will never forget that face." Both of us kind of looked at each other and we started crying, and I gave her a big hug. But I could sense that something was bothering her, and I thought she may have sensed that my family might have been disappointed at the fact that our son, his life could not have been saved. And I said, "I want you to know that my son was a warrior. He absolutely recognized all of the risks that were involved." She cried and she said that as the head trauma nurse, one of her tasks was to prepare his body for his men to have a last viewing. And she said that she tried to close his eyes, but as she went to press his lids together, they always would come open just a little bit. And she said that had bothered her all this time. And I looked at her and I laughed. And she kind of gave me this puzzled look. And she was like, "I'm curious now, why are you laughing?" And I said, "My son would sleep with his eyes partially open. His men, when they were in combat, they were never certain what they could do when the lieutenant was sleeping, because they never knew if he was sleeping or he was just awake watching what they were doing." And I said, "The simple fact that you shared that story with me totally convinces me now that you were with my son at the end." Now, I never have to wonder about those last final moments.
You know, I mean, when you hear stories like that, it makes you wonder: is it necessary in this day and age to have war anymore? I know we have to be prepared because there's always going to be somebody unreasonable out there. But it just seems to me that if we truly are evolving, which we can debate that, I suppose, but it's kind of hard to deny that we're evolving as a civilization. Whether you want to apply the word evolve to something like what Darwin says, or just apply it to what we can ourselves attest to in our witness. I mean, look at the world we live in now compared to the world that our ancestors had to live in, with being able to communicate so quickly. We've got some problems, but you would think that there would be a way for anybody who has a problem that at one point would have led to a war to be able to solve that problem in a different way than war. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, there must be a way. There must be. Our leadership is failing us if they can't figure out a way to avoid war. And to the credit of some of our leadership, we have managed to do that. But there's always going to be somebody out there who decides to kill other people as a way to get whatever it is they want. There are just so many horrible stories. And today on Memorial Day, we're remembering those men and women who stood up against those people who were unreasonable. Mm-hmm. And because they are unreasonable, you can't reason with them. And so you have to fight fire with fire, and it ends up with men and women who are braver than I'll ever be. And then you have stories like that. So I wanted to share some more with you. That's what today is about. Here's another one. This is another story about nurses. These are some nurses who served in combat settings. I guess you might equate it to the MASH TV show, the MASH movie. Mm-hmm. But here we go.
I remember the day I saw my first patient who'd been injured in the war, and I remember feeling my heart speed up, and I was having trouble breathing, and I couldn't imagine why I was reacting like that.
Right.
I realized later it was the first time I'd ever seen anyone who had been maliciously hurt.
You know, we really got to know them so well because we would see them 2 to 3 hours a day for 2 to 3 years. And then in Afghanistan, it just got more intense. The guys and girls were on foot, and so the blast was coming from the ground up. and the injuries became so much more severe, both legs or both arms, and all you want is to fix them. Like, I remember just thinking, God, if I only had a magic wand, this is where I would use it.
We were seeing 150 combat amputees a day in our clinic, and everyone's running from one patient to the next patient, and I just would get really frustrated because I felt like I could never actually spend time with anybody. It bothered me not to finish anything, and so that's when I started getting into all these home repair projects until all hours of the night. And then I started having nightmares. Like my family and my friends, they were all amputees, and I came to work finally and I fessed up to all of you guys. And some other people said they had those too, and that was normal.
How did the work change you?
I just saw like bad stuff all the time, and it was good people that it happened to. And I started getting this feeling that if you're good, bad things are going to happen to you. I mean, I am a really cynical person now.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't seem to get a steady job.
I think it's just hard to find another job because you don't want it to be just a paycheck.
Eventually, I think we all came to the same conclusion, that we were part of something that was so much larger than ourselves.
Exactly.
And I just felt like I couldn't just walk away.
Yeah, I mean, I've always felt a very deep appreciation towards the men and women in uniform, but it's on such a different level now. I'm just eternally grateful.
So the stories you're listening to are from a website called StoryCorps. I think it's .com. So the nature of the stories are very, very solemn and very, very serious. And in the case of soldiers who have died, they're going to be sad. All of the stories on StoryCorps are not military stories, but the ones I've chosen for today are. Now, the next one I have is... I included it even though it's not in the military. It's a police officer. He was serving in Boston during the Boston Marathon 3 years ago, when the Boston Marathon bombing happened. Remember that?
Yeah.
And he died in that bombing. To me, when you have a terrorist like those two guys who bombed the Boston Marathon, I mean, that's just as much of a wartime moment as anything that might be in Iran or Iraq or Afghanistan.
Exactly.
And so this next piece is the parents of the police officer who died in the Boston Marathon. Here it is.
On April 15th, 2013, 2 bombs exploded near the finish line of the Boston Marathon, killing 3 and injuring over 200 people. In the days following the attack, a massive manhunt took place, and 4 days later, the police confronted the bombers on a suburban street in nearby Watertown. Boston police officer DJ Simmons was one of the officers who arrived on the scene, and he was injured by a homemade bomb the Tsarnaev brothers threw at police. Simmons' injuries led to his death almost a year later. And at StoryCorps, his parents Roxanne and Dennis Simmons sat down to remember their son.
The day he was born, DJ came out with shoulders of a linebacker. He was the first baby I saw that had muscles.
He wasn't really afraid of anything.
Like 10:30, he would literally take the dog outside and walk around the whole house.
Make sure there's nobody on the grounds. He used to say, DJ, where you going? It's late. And he would say, I'm doing a perimeter search, Dad. So when he told us he was going into the police department, I wasn't really surprised.
With the kids, I have this thing that I have to talk to them every day. But after the bombing, he called me and he said, Ma, I'm not going to be able to talk to you all the time right now.
Right. They were on a major league manhunt throughout Boston.
And DJ and his partners were able to corner the brothers, and they were some of the first ones on scene.
They showed a clip on the television and somebody was yelling. You guys got rifles? I turned to you and I said, that voice sounds familiar. It was instantly sent chills up to my back because I heard his voice.
The bombs landed close to DJ and knocked him off his feet. We knew he had a concussion, but he said he was fine. But we knew something was a little different.
Yeah, he was quiet.
He'd said when he closed his eyes, he would see the bombs. I will never forget the day he came downstairs, I was in my bedroom, and he stood at the door and said, "I'm afraid of the dark." I didn't know what to say. His eyes looked like, almost like a kid again. That was the only vulnerability that DJ ever showed. He died a year later.
He had a brain aneurysm at that point.
He used to lay on my lap, and I used to rub his head. I miss that. I miss dialing his phone number, 781-510-6533. I miss dialing that every day. I've loved him since the moment I saw him as a little baby linebacker, and I love him more and more every day.
Roxanne and Dennis Simmons.
I'm going to continue doing these on the other side of the break. Let's take a little break and continue remembering those who gave all. This is Memorial Day, and you're listening to WOCA Ocala, The Source.
Fox News Radio. I'm Lillian Wu. The president on Twitter this morning remembering those who died for our country, saying they would be very happy and proud how well our country's doing today. Best economy in decades. He lays a wreath at the Tomb of the Unknowns in a few hours. Meanwhile, signs of possible progress for the North Korean summit.
The White House saying a team of U.S. officials is traveling to Singapore, where the meeting was due to take place, for talks with North Korean officials. And separately, President Trump says an American delegation has gone into North Korea for discussions, the group headed by veteran U.S. diplomat Sung Kim. On Saturday, the leaders of North Korea and South Korea met for the second time in a month.
Fox's Simon Owen. And a man is missing after flash flooding in Ellicott City, Maryland, already hit by catastrophic flooding not too long ago.
A lot of the businesses and first floors are gone like they were 2 years ago.
Howard County Executive Alan Kittleman, Fox News. We report, you decide.
Pros in the know start with Lowe's, because at Lowe's, the more pros buy, the more they save. Need concrete for your next job? Get 20% off select concrete mix when you buy 2 pallets or more. Plus, save time by ordering online. Place your order at lowesforpros.com and it'll be ready for pickup at our pro desk when you are. Buy in bulk and save money. Buy online and save time. So, pro, now that you know, let's get started.
Ever wonder why Miller High Life is called the champagne of beers? Because it's a flavorful, easy-drinking beer with a perfect storm of tiny champagne-like bubbles. And it's been that way since 1903.
If you've got the time,
welcome to the High Life.
We've got the beer, Miller Beer.
2018 Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Drink High Life responsibly.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident on this Monday. Times of clouds and sun. A windy, warm, humid day with a couple of showers and a thunderstorm. High 83 to 87. It'll be mostly cloudy, warm, and muggy Monday night with a shower or thunderstorm around those 71 to 75. For Tuesday and Wednesday, clouds, some sun, warm and humid with a couple of showers and a thunderstorm. The high both days 82 to 86. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Hey, sweetheart, you look upset.
I just don't know how we're going to handle everything coming up these next few weeks. Graduation, Father's Day, Natalie's wedding.
Tell you what, make a list of all the events and what you want to serve. Then, just call Honey Baked Ham at 861-0011. They'll prepare everything to perfection, and they'll even deliver.
Where are they? I may just go by.
2709 Southwest 27th Avenue, just behind Best Buy.
I'm going to use Honey Baked Ham for everything.
Honey Baked Ham, making every day a special occasion. We all know that sound means there's going to be some need for collision repair work, and soon. What you may not know is that it's your choice where to have that collision work done, not the other guy's insurance company. Because your vehicle is much more than just transportation. It's like a family member. So don't bring it to just any chain collision center. Bring it to Lyle's Collision Service. When it comes to getting your vehicle back to 100%, you can count on Lyle's Collision Service. They're not some fly-by-night chain company. They're a family-owned and run collision center with over 33 years of experience. Working with collision repairs and vehicle restoration, Lyle's Collision only uses quality parts and doesn't take shortcuts like some other companies. They take pride in getting the job done done right and in a timely manner. They specialize in insurance claims, and they strive to get your vehicle back to you as soon as possible. So the next time you hear this, remember, it's your choice, and the choice is clear. Lyle's Collision Service.
Here is your 1-minute news brief from the source WOCA. Tropical storm Alberto has intensified in the northern Gulf of Mexico as it continues its march toward the Florida Panhandle. The vandalized Key West ghost ship that mysteriously washed ashore after Hurricane Irma will likely remain beached until at least November because endangered turtles recently laid eggs there. Florida authorities say a woman who was beaten and held captive for 2 days at gunpoint by her boyfriend escaped when she convinced him to bring their dog to an animal hospital. She then slipped a note to a staff member. In Holly Hill, a man in a clown mask who attacked an employee as he was exiting a Little Caesars pizza restaurant Saturday night has died from injuries sustained when the victim, licensed to carry a concealed weapon, shot him dead. And in Sarasota, a Florida undersea memorial will honor lost U.S. submariners who died almost 50 years ago when the USS Scorpion became the last U.S. submarine to be lost at sea in the northern Atlantic in 1968. And that is your news brief from the source.
The sound of the bat cracking, the crowd cheering, the smell of overpriced but tasty hot dogs, the memories that will last a lifetime of your first baseball game with Little Johnny. Your team wins. It was a great night until you get home. It's 9 p.m. and your wife says you have no water.
We have no water.
What do you do?
What do you do?
Rule number 1, don't panic. Remain calm. Okay, that's 2 rules.
We don't have time for jokes, funny man.
Okay, think back. On the way home, you heard a radio commercial.
Mike's Got Plumbing. If water runs through it, we do it.
Eureka. You saved the day. You remembered that Mike Scott Plumbing doesn't charge extra for nights, weekends, or holidays. You are a genius.
Hey, Mr. Genius, did you remember the phone number?
Of course you did. Remember, you're a genius. 352-237-2888. Because at Mike Scott Plumbing, if water runs through it, we do it. Even if water's not running through it at this particular moment. Mike Scott Plumbing.
All right. Thank you, Dan. 6 minutes after 10 o'clock, and that overcast, cloudy sky has now become partly cloudy here at the Paddock Mall anyway. 85 is the expected high. Right now it's 81 degrees, and the weatherman is expecting a 70% chance of rain for the rest of today, so I guess we'll be getting that. And then it drops dramatically later on this evening. Tomorrow, pretty much the afternoon. Wednesday afternoon, Thursday afternoon. It looks like the typical what do you say, Robin? Typical rain for the summer, right?
Yes.
Pattern. That's the word I'm looking for.
Pattern.
All right.
It's the pattern.
Today is Memorial Day. I would encourage you to decorate the grave of somebody who served, whether they died in combat or not. It's kind of a tradition in America. And if you get a chance, go down to the Veterans Memorial Park. They have something that just started about 5 minutes ago down there. The Vietnam Traveling Wall is down at the Veterans Memorial Park. It'll be there the rest of today. They will be leaving tomorrow. So if you get a chance to go over there and just kind of look at those names and realize that those names all were somebody walking this earth, and at one time or another decided to answer the call of duty. You remember back in the Vietnam War era, there was a draft. So some of them were more than likely drafted, but you remember also that people did skip out and go to Canada and avoid the draft. These young men and women did not. Well, women weren't drafted, of course, but
they volunteered though.
They volunteered, yes.
Yeah.
One of the names on that wall is Hammett Lee Bowen Jr. This is the staff sergeant in the Army who lost his life in the Vietnam War. He died on June 27th, 1969. His tour of duty only began 3 months earlier on March 4th, 1969. He was in the Army for 1 year, and that was it. He left behind a family here in Ocala, and he is, I think, Ocala's only Medal of Honor recipient.
Yes.
We have an elementary school named after him, if you are familiar with Hammett Bowen Jr. Elementary School. He died in South Vietnam in the city of Binh Duong. His official listing is he died from ground casualty, multiple fragmentation wounds, and what happened was he threw himself on a hand grenade and by doing so died and also saved the lives of 3 of his fellow soldiers. His body was recovered, and Robin and I had the honor of meeting Hammett Bowen Sr., his father.
Yes.
I had years ago, I think it must have been Memorial Day, was getting close, and I had offered as a prize, a radio prize, to do a portrait of a soldier or a sailor, anybody who had been in the service. And it was the prize, and people were sending in different names. And so we selected the name of the winner and did a portrait for the lady who sent it in, and she's been our friend ever since, right?
Yes, Anne.
Anne's been our friend
lady.
ever since. And we also had some calls saying, you know what you should do? You should do a portrait of Hammett Bowen Jr. And I had not known who he was. And so I said, yeah, if you can get me a photograph, I will do one of him. And so I did the one of him, and it was then Hank Whittier with Vets Helping Vets, along with the Kingdom of the Sun concert band, put on a show at the Forest High School, which at that time was located with the
Marion Technical Institute.
Thank you.
Now.
Marion Technical is now. So they had a program there, and Mr. Bowen was invited, and so was Mrs. Tucker. And so we presented Mrs. Tucker with the painting. It was a pastel portrait, actually. And then Hank invited Mr. Bowen up, and they presented him with the portrait that I did. And Mr. Bowen held on to that portrait. It meant a lot to him to see his son in large portrait form in full color, and it touched me that something that I did that was really relatively simple
for you
meant a lot to him. When the school was built, Maury Dean, I believe, he wasn't chief of police at that time, but he was involved with the veterans groups, right?
Yes, very much
so.
So
Maury Dean and Sue Mosley, I believe, was with the school board at that time. So they did an unveiling of the same portrait. Mr. Bowen had donated the portrait to the school. And so that portrait that I did of Hammett Bowen Jr. is in the lobby currently.
Yes, it hangs there.
At the school. That is their official portrait of the person the school is named after. If you would like to see his name on the traveling wall, it is in panel 21W, line 21, and you will find the name Hammett Lee Bowen Jr. Panel 21W, line 21. If you're looking for a name on the wall, the website that I just got Hammett Bowen's location from is that you can look up any of them. The website is thewall-usa.com. Thewall-usa.com. If you don't have a computer, or for some reason that's not working for you, and you want to go down there, I believe there are some ladies down there doing this for people.
Yeah, the Daughters of the American Revolution.
Thank you.
You're
Yes.
welcome.
So
Tevis is one of them, yes.
there you go.
Great gal she is.
So you don't have to worry about it. If you can't do it, they will look it up for you and tell you where the name is of the person you're looking for. All right. I prepared some audio clips of people who were, I thought, made some statements that were appropriate for Memorial Day. I got these from a website called StoryCorps. I want to play the one from the Vietnam soldier. I played this one earlier today. So here it is. This is from a soldier who served in Vietnam, and he's with the daughter, the grown daughter of one of his comrades who died. Is that right? Who died in Vietnam. So this is that touching conversation between the two the man and the young woman.
My dad was due to retire. He was 2 months short of 20 years. So he knew it was his last tour and he was going to go home for good.
Your dad was very duty-bound. If he was passed over to go out in the field, he'd get animated about it. And I was with your dad the day he was killed. We were going to travel through the province and make 3 stops. It was a winding road, and as we were coming down the hill, which was the most dangerous spot, I turned and faced your father. We smiled and gave each other a thumbs up. We made it. And the next thing I knew, I was thrown out of my seat and I was seeing sky. I realized then, my God, we've been blown up. Your father was lying off to the side of the road, and he never regained consciousness. I know I was the last person your dad saw, and I still see that smile on your father's face, one hand on the steering wheel, and that's how I remember your dad.
When we met yesterday, you said you have your dad's smile.
Yeah.
I lost it. My dad and I had this connection that was deeper than I even understood. And within 2 months after graduating from high school, I left for basic training. And then once I joined the Army, all I really wanted to do was to be his rank. So when I made my father's rank, as soon as the ceremony was over, I went to the bathroom and cried. And I was like, I did it. That was the most monumental thing that ever happened to me. I mean, I wanted to be exactly like him. And 31 years in the Army, I guess I am just like him.
Yeah. You're a brave young lady, too. Every year, I visit your dad at the wall. And someone asked, don't you want to forget? And no. I'm happy I met you. And I'm happy that I can help you understand more.
I'm humble and I'm grateful to know you. And we'll always keep in touch.
Yes. And I want to say your dad, his grin would be from ear to ear, you know that, to see you as you are now.
Thank you. I don't feel like he's ever left me. Ever.
The music is courtesy of the folks at StoryCorps. They put these together. It's a really beautiful site, really. If you go there, you will hear stories, true stories that people have shared on that website. It is more than military stories, but of course, for Memorial Day, I wanted to extract some of the military stories so that we could use them on this show.
Do you spell Corps C-O-R-P-S or
Yes.
C-O-R-P-S?
Yeah,
Okay.
StoryCorps.com.
Thank you.
You want to see if the website is that? Let me make sure I have it right.
Okay.
I'll look it up real quick. StoryCorps.
Yes.
Now let's just see. I think it's .com. Let's see. I have a hard time typing backwards. .com. Let's see. StoryCorps.com. Yes, that's what it is.
Okay, excellent.
That's what it is.
Thank you. Just want to make my notes correct.
Let's see if we can have another one. Here's one that looks like it was just posted on here, so I haven't heard this one yet. Here we go. Come on, let's see.
In this story, we remember a man who died for his country, even though he wasn't a citizen. When the Iraq War started, nearly 40,000 members of the military were not U.S. citizens, and Army Private First Class Diego Rincon was one of them. His family immigrated to the U.S. from Colombia in 1989, and he was killed by a suicide bomber in Iraq in 2003. Diego's parents came to StoryCorps to remember him.
We came here when he was 5 years old, and Diego started speaking English faster than we did. He was often letting me know when I finish high school, I'm going to join the Army.
Before he went to Iraq, he got the green card. But he said to me, Dad, don't do the citizenship until I return. We do it together.
The last time we spoke, he said, I wrote you a letter. Do not open it if you're not ready. A week later, I got the letter, and it was different from the rest. He was talking about this feeling that he had that he was going to die. He asked for forgiveness for anything wrong that he had done, and he said that he loves me. This letter was like a bucket of icy water.
And he died March 29.
I remember I was sitting on the steps, and the chaplain came into the house.
He said, Mr. Rincon, I'm sorry, your son is dead.
I didn't believe what they told us, so I called the Army and I asked for pictures of his body. I look at the pictures and I destroy them.
Sometimes I wake up in the morning thinking that this is a nightmare and he's coming back. But I had my baby for 19 years and it was a blessing.
Because of what happened to Diego, there's always that question, what if we hadn't come here? But at least he was doing something with honor, with pride. He was doing something for America.
And he got citizenship the day of the funeral. That is something, it's a piece of paper, but it means a lot for us. He always will be our hero.
Gosh, wow, it's hard to talk after listening to that, huh?
Yeah.
Wow, that is so sad. Yeah, that's why we have Memorial Day.
And Yolanda.
Sorry, that's the StoryCorps lady talking. So let's see, we have some more. I hope you're enjoying this out there. All right, this is the story of a sole survivor. Everybody in his group died except for him. And so here's that one.
That morning, we loaded into the vehicle.
Wait. I think I got the wrong one there.
Oh.
No, that was right. Here it is. Let me do it again.
That morning, we loaded into the vehicle, and I get tapped on the shoulder, and I got told that I need to bounce up to the next vehicle. And I said, catch you guys on the flip side, and that was the last thing I ever said to him. Next thing I know, I just hear the loudest explosion, and I see that's my squad's vehicle that got hit. The bomb flipped it upside down and it ripped it completely in half, and everything inside of it was just parts. And we got to wait for the chopper to come recover them. So the guys from the rest of our platoon had to go out there with blankets and cover up these body parts so dogs don't come and grab my friend's arm and have a meal. When I got back into our room for the first time, it was just a mess, you know. We had to spend the next couple days just packing all this shit up and mailing it home to their families, mailing their letters that they hadn't mailed, and cleaning up the dishes that they hadn't cleaned up, and there's dirty laundry. It was all I had left of my friends. And I knew when I got home that I would meet these guys' parents, their girlfriends, and their brothers and sisters. And it's hard because I feel guilty for being the one guy left. But I also feel a responsibility. I better make sure that everybody knows who these guys were, what these guys did. And, you know, I am most proud of not blowing my head off by now. It's just a whole lot easier if you're dead. But that shouldn't be your tribute to your dead friends. When they're looking down on you, they don't want you to be living in the moment that killed them. You made it. You got home. You should honor their memory by living the life that they didn't get to live.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, honor them. Live. You know what? Today, go and see the wall, and then go, have a hamburger. I mean, just celebrate life, and
exactly.
And just know that they want you to be living.
And without their sacrifice, we wouldn't be celebrating this today because our country wouldn't be free.
There you go. That's absolutely true. The traditional tune that is played on a bugle is, of course, taps. I'm sure if you go down to the Veterans Memorial Park today, you will hear taps being played. And so I want to play this piece for you. Again, this is another StoryCorps story. This is a story about Sean Guest. He brought his grandfather, Harrison Wright, to a mobile booth for StoryCorps. And they were asking about his service during World War II. He was drafted in early 1943, and I'll let them tell the rest of the story. Here they are.
When World War II ended, Harrison Wright was serving in the Army in Europe, in a small Belgian village near the border with Germany. At StoryCorps, he told his grandson about being sent on a very special assignment.
I was an 18-year-old boy, and I blew the bugle in our outfit. If a young man is killed in action or dies defending his country, you blow taps over his grave. And There's no way to describe it. The emotion that you feel knowing that those notes is going out. And I remember the war was over just a few days, and they asked me to blow taps for all who died in the war. We climbed this high hill. It was like a mountaintop. And my battalion was at the bottom. And I blew those taps. And when I did, the men said it floated out across all that valley and said it was beautiful. They were all telling me how good it sounded and what a tribute it was to our fallen comrades.
All right, 25 minutes after 10 o'clock, we are remembering some of the stories that we've heard in the past. That one was one that I did find a couple years ago, and so if you had heard it before, that's probably why. Anyway, we'll take a little break. We're almost up against the bottom of the hour. We'll do the news. Does anybody want me to do any more of these? I think
yes,
I'm enjoying this. Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah?
This
Okay.
is,
all right.
It's very, very necessary.
And by the way, once we come out of the break at the bottom of the hour, if you want to call in, you maybe have a story of your own you'd like to share, please feel free to do so. We don't have any guests this morning. It's just me and Robin, and we're spending Memorial Day with you. After we're done here, we're going to take a drive over to the Veterans Park and see the wall. And so hopefully you'll be out there this morning, and if you can get out there. There was one thing I wanted to tell you. We had a gentleman named Vaughn Roberts used to come in all the time, and he played taps. He called his campaign, I guess, Taps for Troops. I think was he a Navy veteran?
Yes,
I think. And he would play taps at the national cemetery that he could get to, everyone, including the ones over in Normandy.
Yes.
And it's an amazing thing. And I had the honor of doing an oil painting portrait of Vaughn playing taps and
on his trombone.
On his a valve trombone.
Yes.
So that was his instrument of choice, and he used to that was his whole thing. He didn't get paid for it. He didn't really solicit anything for it. He just kind of did it. Just went around and played taps. And those people who are at a national cemetery who happen to hear taps rolling across the hills, and maybe you can't even see the horn player at that time, there is a chilling effect, and I'm sure you know this. There's a chilling effect that happens when you hear that sound rolling across the field and over the headstones, etc. So.
And Les Boncaster, one year from the director of the Kingdom of the Sun concert band, he did cascading taps for about a mile or so on East Silver Springs Boulevard to the Veterans Park, and the musicians participated in that with their trombones and their trumpets and cornets, and it was outstanding.
Yeah, that was very cool.
Thank you, Les, for that.
That was very cool. We have an amazing community here, and a very veteran supportive community, and it's an honor that WOCA is a part of all of that. All right, let's take a little break. We've got news at the bottom of the hour. On the other side, I will continue playing some stories from different veterans who are remembering the service of themselves and others who they served with. On this Veterans Day, we'll take calls also after the break. The phone number is 622-9622, and we will be right back in about 4 minutes.
sweetheart. You look upset.
I just don't know how we're going to handle everything coming up these next few weeks. Graduation, Father's Day, Natalie's wedding.
Tell you what, make a list of all the events and what you want to serve. Then, just call Honey Baked Ham at 861-0011. They'll prepare everything to perfection, and they'll even deliver.
Where are they? I may just go by.
2709 Southwest 27th Avenue, just behind Best Buy.
I'm going to use Honey Baked Ham for everything.
Honey Baked Ham, making every day a special occasion.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident on this Monday. Times of clouds and sun. A windy, warm, humid day with a couple of showers and a thunderstorm. High 83 to 87. It'll be mostly cloudy, warm, and muggy Monday night with a shower or thunderstorm around low 71 to 75. For Tuesday and Wednesday, clouds, some sun, warm and humid with a couple of showers and a thunderstorm. The high both days 82 to 86. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Fox News Radio. I'm Lillian Wu. The president on Twitter this morning remembering those who died for our country, saying they would be very happy and proud how well our country's doing today. Best economy in decades. He lays a wreath at the Tomb of the Unknowns in a few hours. Meanwhile, signs of possible progress for the North Korean summit.
The White House saying a team of U.S. officials is traveling to Singapore, where the meeting was due to take place, for talks with North Korean officials. And separately, President Trump says an American delegation has gone into North Korea for discussions, the group headed by veteran U.S. diplomat Sung Kim. On Saturday, the leaders of North Korea and South Korea met for the second time in a month.
Fox's Simon Owen. And a man is missing after flash flooding in Ellicott City, Maryland, already hit by catastrophic flooding not too long ago.
A lot of the businesses and first floors are gone like they were 2 years ago.
Howard County Executive Alan Kittleman, Fox News. We report, you decide.
Pros in the know start with Lowe's, because at Lowe's, the more pros buy, the more they save. Need concrete for your next job? Get 20% off select concrete mix when you buy 2 pallets or more. Plus, save time by ordering online. Place your order at lowesforpros.com and it'll be ready for pickup at our pro desk when you are. Buy in bulk and save money. Buy online and save time. So, pro, now that you know, let's get started.
Ever wonder why Miller High Life is called the champagne of beers? Because it's a flavorful, easy drinking beer with a perfect storm of tiny champagne-like bubbles. And it's been that way since 1903.
If you've got the time,
welcome to the High Life.
We've got the beer, Miller Beer.
2018 Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Drink High Life responsibly.
Our relationship with WOCA started in 2009. WOCA is a family-friendly, community-involved station. When we moved to our new location on 17th Street in October of 2016, of course, we went to WOCA so they could tell everybody our new location. The folks at WOCA really care about their clients and want them to be successful. For all of your shipping needs, call Pack Mill, and to tell the Ocala area about your business, call WOCA, because WOCA Radio gets results.
Howdy folks, RL here for Dairy Queen again to tell you about what's hot and what's not. Dairy Queen has some of the best char-grilled chicken breasts on earth, as well as their chicken breast salad. And the burgers are exceptional, cooked on a real grill for the best flavor and less fat. And for dessert, blizzards are unequaled. Personally, banana split is my all-time favorite. Dairy Queen Silver Springs, where we always treat you like kings and queens.
This is Kenny Penny with Pretty Penny Properties. On behalf of myself, my wife Allison, and the Pretty Penny team, I want to thank you for supporting our business by allowing us to help you get your penny's worth from the local real estate market. With offices in Ocala, Spring Hill, Tampa Bay, Pretty Penny Properties helps you spend every penny wisely. Contact us at prettypennyproperties.com or call 352-629-6883. That's 352-629-6883. Thanks.
Hi, this is Lisa McGinnis, editor of Ocala Magazine and host of Ocala Magazine Radio. Join me every Friday at 10 a.m. when we bring the pages of Ocala Magazine to life. There's only one Ocala Magazine and only one source for local news talk radio. Tune in Friday at 10 a.m. right here on 1370 a.m. and 96.3 FM. WOCA, The Source.
All right, thank you, Lisa. 27 minutes before 11 o'clock. Now it's overcast again. The weatherman is just not being cooperative, Robin. Every time you look out the window, it looks either nice or not so nice. Whatever it is right now, just look out there in about 10 minutes, it'll look nice again. I don't know that. This, by the way, according to the weatherman, I am only an amateur weatherman, meaning I steal weather reports from the Weather Channel. This is actually the outermost bands of the hurricane called Alberto. Anyway, but we're not getting the brunt of it. Our friends in the Panhandle seem to be. It's 82 right now. 86 is the expected high. Rain this afternoon. I think you knew that. 73 is the low tonight. Tomorrow, pretty much the same, although tomorrow it'll just be the normal rain. It won't be part of this bigger system that's passing up the north through the Gulf of Mexico. All right, it is Memorial Day, and we don't have any guests. We are doing something a little different. Actually, it's not that different because we've done this in years past. We have some sound bites from different people who have left their stories for us to benefit from, and I have handpicked these ones so that they represent those who have served us. I have one here. This is perhaps... I guess you could say the person who lost the person in the story. Well, they're all heartbroken. In this case, the person who dies by his own hand. He kills himself after having served and after having gone through some very traumatic experiences while in service to this country. So we call that post-traumatic stress disorder in today's world. And he just took his own life. And so in my mind, that is a casualty of war as well. He would not have done that had he not had those experiences. So here is this story.
Army Specialist Robert Joseph Allen grew up in a military family and enlisted when he was in his early 20s. He served 3 years, including a deployment to Iraq. 2 years after he got home, he committed suicide. That year saw the highest rate of active duty military suicides ever. More soldiers died from suicide than combat. His mother, Kathy Sprigg, sat down at StoryCorps in Tampa, Florida, to remember him.
He was a happy-go-lucky kid. When he was in T-ball, one time he hit the ball, went to second base, and then turned around and said, "Mom, I made half of a home run." That was kind of how he looked at life, his cup half full. He always wanted to be in the military, even back then. I mean, we'd pass a convoy and he'd just go nuts. So when he was 24, he enlisted and then was sent to Iraq for a year. And he told me some stories, but he said, "There's a lot of stories that I can't tell you, Mom." He didn't sleep well. He had nightmares. That twinkle in his eye was gone. He took his life August 2nd, 2012. And, as a mother, when your child's heart is full of joy, your heart's full of joy. And knowing what a dark place he must have been to do this is almost more than I could bear. Since then, I have his 2 sons that I help care for. His first son is 8, and not long ago he asked me, "How did Daddy die?" And I said to him, "Daddy died from war because he had a very sad heart." In hindsight is 20/20, but when he got back from Iraq, he got off the plane. And I thanked God that he made it home safe. I didn't realize that he didn't. And I feel like he's not looked at as a hero. because his wounds weren't immediate and they weren't physical. And aside from losing my son, that's probably one of the most painful things.
I don't know, Robin. One of these days, hopefully we figure out a way to put an end to war. It sounds like a I don't know, Pollyanna-ish idea, right? That we
I
can
don't think so.
actually put an end to war.
The majority of the people don't want it. It's the governments.
One of the stories I have here, let me see if I have this here. One of the stories I have here is two enemies who became friends. And this story is one that this is a story that tells me that my gut feeling is right. My gut feeling is that those who fight these wars on both sides are doing the will of somebody who's never ever going to stand on a battlefield. Those who are sent to war are sent by people who don't have the guts to go themselves. Mm-hmm. It's not like the Revolutionary War where George Washington was giving orders and was also out there in the field.
Yeah.
It's not like those days anymore. It is people playing chess with other living, breathing human beings. Mm-hmm. And those other living, breathing human beings really don't have anything against the very other human beings they're shooting at. So I think this is the one right here.
Do you remember the first day that we met?
Oh, you scared me, dude. Your attitude in the beginning and with your mohawk.
I scared everybody with that mohawk.
You told me, if you try to mess with my soldier, I will shoot you.
And what did you do?
I was smiling at you.
You smiled at me and said, someday we will be able to laugh about this conversation while we're drinking tea. And that's when I knew, I think this guy will be okay. We started to trust you, and since you fought with us and you bled with us and you lived with us, you became us. And my Iraqi interpreter became my American brother.
And my American soldier became my Iraqi brother. I used to hate American. You are our enemy, and that's it. And you're the only one who changed my mind. With you, I was talking about the similarity between us as people. It's just about being human, there or here.
I remember sitting down one day thinking I didn't want to leave you alone. I knew how dangerous it was for you because we saw those people that were murdered for being interpreters. And I was so afraid that that was going to happen to you. And it took years to get the proper documents to get you over here.
And I'm lucky to make it here.
You have 3 daughters and a son and a wife.
Yep.
I'm waiting for that day that you were able to bring them over here. How do you feel about having to go back to get your family?
I'm scared, actually, because of ISIS. They control the roads and it's dangerous.
I hate to ask you, what do you think your odds of being able to make it back alive are?
Let's make it 50-50, man. Like really 50-50.
It's frustrating hearing you talk about the dangers that you're going to go through over there and not being able to go with you to help you. As you helped me, I wanted to be able to help you back.
I appreciate you to saying that, but really, you can't. Just pray for me, that's it. I love you, brother.
I love you too, brother. Inta lahoi.
Habibi.
I mean, that's a perfect example right there.
Did you say your dad had the same?
My dad had a similar experience. Yeah, in World War II, he met a German, and they were talking. He needed a ride or something, and my dad didn't give him a ride. But yeah. All right, I promised that I would answer the phone. Just so you know that the way this works is you won't hear anybody screen the call. You won't hear anybody say hello. All you'll hear is whatever's going on the air. And then when we get a break, a moment, which is right now, I'm going to take a phone call. If you want to call in and share your stories, you are welcome to. The number is 622-9622. Good morning. You are on the air. Thank you for waiting.
Good morning, Larry. This is Gareth Vandergrift, and I really do appreciate what you're doing today. When I was a young nurse in the emergency room, I worked with 4 wonderful doctors who had just completed their internship. And they all went off to war together in Vietnam. A year later, I heard that Benny Frerdon, one of our interns, had been killed. The other three, Dr. Bob Walton, Dick Crane, and Jack Sapolsky, came back. They all went into practice, but I often wonder what Benny's practice would have been like. They attended my wedding. They were wonderful friends, and I think of them every time I think of any special patriotic day. I also worked with a young nurse, a very handsome male nurse, the first male nurse I worked with, and he represented the profession very well. There was nothing feminine about him. And 2 years after he came to work with me, he died of a liver problem from Agent Orange. And I often think, I wonder how many would be on that wall if they were recognized and honored as part of the war.
Mm-hmm.
And last but not least, with that last story that you just played, I was reminded that I have had the privilege to work with Dr. Duck Wynn, who was our main doctor at Takachali for my last 19 years. And he was the most compassionate person you could ever meet. He worked so wonderfully with our special needs patients. And it wasn't until 3 years after I had been working with him that I learned that he was from Vietnam. Mm. And he had been taken as sort of captive to take care of the Vietnamese soldiers that had been injured. He was separated from his wife and baby boy and had to spend the next 3 years working in a concentration camp. And then when he came here, when he took his boards, he made the highest grade ever accomplished for his national boards. And he chose to come and work with our people. And he's still, I think he's working at the VA hospital in Gainesville now. Mm. So I certainly came to know someone who has been on the other, well, both sides, because he's as much of an American as he could possibly be a Vietnamese. Mm-hmm. Thank you for what you're doing.
Oh, thank you, Gareth. Thank you for sharing that with us. There's so many amazing stories out there, Robin. Just so many.
There are.
The sad and disgraceful thing that we did as a country was to not acknowledge the incredible, mind-blowing contribution of our Vietnam vets. That was a huge mistake that this country made. And if it's better late than never, then to all of you who served in Vietnam, thank you for your service. That includes Joe Martone, who was one of the owners of this radio station, and so many others out there who have come in and said hi. So many of them that we've met from the Vietnam War are now with Vets Helping Vets here in Ocala, continuing to do great things. I have some more sound bites. I want to share one with you that has two parts, actually. The first one is a man telling about his wife. They worked together in the explosives ordnance disposal with the Army. I'll let him tell the story. And then there's the part two to this one.
Remember, it took a while to get you to talk?
Yeah, then I wouldn't shut up.
I'm okay with that. I really just wanted to reach through the computer and hug you. Like, it's okay. Well, it's not okay, but it'll get better.
Yeah.
You do seem a lot happier.
I'm glad. I am. I mean, I still have all the other problems that I'm always going to have, like the can't sleep and the nightmares.
But I really admire everything you've gone through, like your perseverance. It's impressive.
Sucks too.
Yeah, always will.
Basically, you have a gift of helping people who are depressed. Where does your attitude come from?
When I was young, I was very soft. I cried a lot. And right after high school, I was engaged, and his mom pulled me to the kitchen making dinner one day and was like, "Don't worry, Mary, I'm going to train you to be the perfect housewife." It scared the hell out of me. I was like, I joined the Army like a week later. We got a call for an IED that the Iraqi Army had picked up. So I got it in the truck and I laid it down in there, and it started to roll off, and I went to grab it and it detonated. I could hear this woman screaming and screaming, and then I realized that it was me.
What kind of stuff do you have to deal with on a daily basis because of your injuries?
I'll tell you the worst part is I've never really liked being the center of attention.
And now you got a big sign on your forehead.
Yeah, but I have quite the collection of T-shirts. They say things like "worst drummer ever." I have one that's got a big thumbs up and it says "Thumb Wrestling Champion." I guess the way I look at it is, yeah, I lost my arms, and I'm mostly deaf. My face is scarred to fuck. But all of that has led to some really amazing opportunities, and I've helped a lot of people. I don't know if I could lead a happier life now.
Okay, I may have played them in the wrong order. I think that was the part two. Let me play the other part one. And I didn't pre-listen to that one, so I didn't realize there was the F word in there. Here's the other part.
You know, I certainly wasn't going into it thinking like, hey, this is the guy that I want to spend the rest of my life with. But I think we knew very quickly that this was pretty permanent.
What's been the most difficult for you?
Having to adjust. I didn't know what PTSD meant, but, you know, I picked you, and whatever came along with that is part of the deal. So I'm kind of learning as I go.
Me too. I mean, obviously, I'm a lot to deal with sometimes. I came with industrial baggage.
I think that your life was pretty shitty for a while, and I want you to have more.
I just want to be happy, and I'm normally happy now, and that's a big change and very good. I told you from very early on, you're like a dream.
I'm really glad I heard that story that day.
Me too.
No, I guess I didn't play them in backwards order.
Sounded right.
So what was kind of hard for you to grasp just from what that was is Army Sergeant First Class Max Voles is who you were listening to. That was the man.
Mm-hmm.
He and his wife, Staff Sergeant Kim Voles, worked in explosive ordnance disposal, the Army's elite bomb squad. Both he and she were sent to Iraq in 2003, and one night Max called in the location of an explosive, and Kim was sent to disarm it. She did not survive the mission. In 2011, Max told the story to StoryCorps, and that's the part I need to play for you. At one point, at Max's lowest, he turned to another bomb tech, Sergeant Mary Dack, who lost both of her arms. That was the first part you heard. In an IED disposal in Iraq, Max and Mary were at StoryCorps to tell the story, and there was another, and the second part you heard there was Leslie Hollett, who heard their story and reached out to them, and then they fell in love, and that's who you heard at the end there. But there was a part, I guess this was a three-parter. Let me see if I can play part one. Yeah, this is the first part, and so if you can just forgive me for putting them in backwards order, and also I apologize if some of these words are offensive to you. Here is the first part.
Max and Kim Volz were a husband and wife who served together in Iraq. They were on the same explosive ordnance disposal unit. That's the Army's elite bomb squad. And one night in 2003, Max called in the location of an explosive, and his wife was sent to disarm it. Kim didn't survive that mission, and Max sat down for StoryCorps to remember her.
We deployed in 2003. We were in the same unit, and she ripped bombs apart by hand in Iraq just like I did. There was no being scared, no doubt, no, I might die. We never talked about that. But she died on a incident that I sent her on. That night, she was at a different base, and I tried to talk to her on the phone before she went, just to tell her, like, an extra be careful. But she was already on her way to take care of it, so I didn't get to. Her wounds were severe, One leg was blown off, and she was in a medically induced coma when I got to the hospital. I talked to her the whole time she was in there. The nurses were telling me to talk to her because they assured me that they had seen people come out of comas before and that they remembered hearing things that people said. So, I mean, what are you going to tell your wife who's dying? That you love her and you don't want her to die. But I knew she was dead a long time before the doctors stopped working on her. You hold someone's hand and then it feels different. I called her parents. You know, I didn't want it to be a stranger knocking on the door in an army suit. I told them that she died in my arms 10 minutes ago. She did something that most people weren't willing to do. And I don't want people to think that because she was killed while she was working, that she was bad at her job or that she died because she was a girl. She did the same job that guys who think they're tough do, and she did it just as good as I did, and I think I'm the best that there is. I got married to her when I was 25. Our plan was to retire from the Army. Now I'm 36 and I still don't have a plan. I am an Army widower. I don't think there's very many of us. And when I receive a condolence letter from a high-ranking government official that says, Mrs. Volz, we're sorry for the loss of your husband, it just makes it seem like nobody knows we exist.
So I apologize for the backwards order of those stories, but that was the first part right there.
But that's really sad. I mean, the Army didn't even have the decency to, pay attention to the gender of the person that had died. It was like a form letter. It's horrible. Horrible. They got to fix that.
All right, so let's see. I might have two more. Everybody okay with these? You like these, or is it just too sad? By nature, Robin and I like to do stuff that'll get you to giggle.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have Memorial Day, you want to try to do Memorial Day the right way.
And honor the memory.
Yeah.
And hopefully these stories will hit home and that government people will listen and say, oh my gosh, that could have been me or my family. We got to stop war. This is horrible.
Okay, so this is a story about Barry Romo. He grew up in Southern California in the 1950s. He was the youngest of his siblings. He spent his childhood surrounded by a niece and nephews of similar age. Barry was close with one of his nephews, Robert, known to everyone as Bobby. Bobby was just a month younger than Barry. Barry considered Bobby to be another brother. During the Vietnam War, Barry enlisted in the Army and Bobby was drafted. Only one of them came home. Let me play that one for you.
Barry Romo is the youngest in a very large family, and he grew up with nephews who were about his age. Both Barry and his nephew Robert served in the Army during the Vietnam War, but only one of them made it home.
Bobby was 1 month younger than me, and we were raised like brothers. I enlisted in the Army to go to Vietnam. That was my intention. And he didn't want to go in the military, but he got drafted anyway. They sent him to Vietnam, and he ended up being in my brigade. I became a lieutenant, and he begged me to help him get out of the field, but I couldn't help him. And my nephew got me out of Vietnam. One day, I got back from a patrol. They told me, your nephew, Robert, has been killed. He was running to save a friend of his who had been wounded in battle, and he was shot in the throat. Enemy fire was too intense, so they couldn't retrieve the body, and he was in the sun for 48 hours. A staff sergeant said, why don't we seal the body permanently? That way your family, they remember him as he looked like when he graduated from high school. I was then sent to escort the body home. I had white gloves on and a uniform with my medals, but I felt dirty. I thought I was going to die in Vietnam, but I didn't have to go back there. I had my ticket punched by my nephew's blood. And I felt that I failed him, I failed my family. And I still feel guilty to this day.
Let's see if I have enough time to play one more. I have one more that I want to squeeze in here, and then we will move on to something else. This is actually the story of a soldier serving in Iraq and the relationship he had with the Iraqi people, specifically one Iraqi child.
One day, we saw this child walking through the compound. His name was Ali, and he did not want to talk to us.
As opposed to a lot of the other Iraqi kids that you encountered?
Yes, he was very shy. And the second or third time that I met him, he brought his best friend, Ahmed. And Ahmed was much more outgoing. And so Ali really opened up. And once I met these children, it made every day something I looked forward to. We would play rock, paper, scissors. We would kick around a soccer ball. We were about as close as people that don't speak the same language can be. I had never been really good with children, and this was the first time I felt like I loved someone who wasn't my family member. But one day, Ali showed up, and I could tell something wasn't right. He kept saying, Ahmed, Ahmed, boom. We learned that Ahmed and his mother went to the gas station, and a suicide bomber detonated. Ahmed's mother is dead. She died instantly. And Ahmed is in a hospital somewhere. And so other soldiers and I collected what cash we had and gave it to Ali and said, go take this to Ahmed's father. But later, I saw Ali walking up very slow, and he sat down on the curb next to my Humvee. He dug a hole in the ground with his fingers. He picked up a rock and put it in the hole, and then he put the dirt back over it, and he just pointed to the ground and said, Ahmed. And I knew that Ahmed was dead. And so I sat on the curb with him, me in desert camouflage, carrying an M4 rifle, and him, just a North Baghdad kid, just sat there and cried. I don't know what came of him. That's the nature of war, I suppose. But whenever I see any footage from Baghdad, I'm always kind of looking around, wondering if he's in the frame.
So that was our Memorial Day show. That's what we prepared for this morning. I wanted you to hear some of them. If you want to hear more, I got them all from the website storycorps.com, STORYCORPS.com. And the one thing I think we take away from this is that on Memorial Day, not only are we remembering those who died, but also those who survived, but whose lives were comparatively changed from how they were when they went in. They come back with an experience like that one. You're not going to be the same, you know. So for all of you who have served, I know we are remembering those who've died, but those who didn't die, thank you for your service.
Thank you very much.
And WOCA, I'm so proud of this radio station for always have been involved in the different programs. The one thing that on Thursdays when we have the Veterans Show, the one thing that they always do, they always remember those who recently lost their lives, not only in the military, but also in first responders, police, firefighters, etc. So it's Memorial Day. We will continue. We have more show, just no more of the sound bites. Again, if you want to hear them, the website I got them from, they're all there and more. StoryCorps.com. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, the